Hi, I'm Lee from Mocar. The car I'm meeting today is the Genesis GV60 facelift model. They say they've made significant changes to both the interior and exterior design this time around, and they say that these cutting-edge features, data, and technologies have changed a lot. So let's take a look together to find out what has changed. Take a quick look at the exterior design. I told you that the design has changed significantly, but the exterior design doesn't seem to have changed significantly. First of all, when you look at it from the front, you can see Genesis small cube-shaped headlights called micro lens arrays, which are placed vertically. The headlamps used in the Genesis GV60 are exactly the same as those in the G90, which is Genesis's most expensive and luxurious model. Headlamps function as turn signals, G80, GV80, and Genesis GV70 use lower DRL for turn signals. GV60, like G90, uses headlamps for turn signals. GV60 adopts G90's style. But as with the G90, you can see that the headlights of the GV60 are designed to act as turn signals. Even though it's the youngest model, you can see that it applies a lamp style similar to that of the biggest brother. This suggests that it has a design that aligns with the G90. It's expected to perform even better than the previous cube-type lamps. And another change at the front. What changed? Some of you may think so, but if you look at the lower part of this bumper, the lines are more horizontal and neat, right? Previously, the grille had a look that seemed like it was opening its mouth. But with this facelift, they've tidied up those lines to create a more closed mouth appearance. You can see that they've organized the lines more neatly. The diamond shape inspired by the Genesis crest grille is still present. Overall, compared to the previous design, it seems like they've refined the front design to make it a bit cleaner. Also, the Genesis GV60 didn't have a design with a camera sensor before, which made the white painted area feel quite large. Now it looks like they've added a brushstroke effect to the camera sensor area, giving it a point without making the front design look too much like an electric car or too sleek. You can see that they added a little detail, like a painter adding a dot to their artwork, which makes the design look less bland. In this way, the design point adds character and prevents it from looking too plain. You can see that they've really put thought into these details. Just like how a painter adds a dot to their artwork, this little detail makes the design stand out and prevents it from looking too plain. In this regard, you can see that they've really paid attention to these details. Now let's move on to the side. The side design hasn't really changed at all. This new 21-inch wheel design can be considered a change. This two-line design features these spoke wheels, and to enhance aerodynamic performance, you can see that this wide area has been blocked off. These are 21-inch wheels, and I think the Genesis wheel design is truly impeccable. And this GV60 facelift applies this 4P brake as standard to all models, starting with this base model. When we looked at cars like the EV4, they often had brake calipers that were a bit unattractive with the brake pads that were perfectly matched to the performance. But this Genesis has sporky brake calipers applied to all models, starting from the most basic one. Anyway, I think it's really cool in terms of design, but this wheel design is designed with aerodynamic performance in mind, so the spokes themselves are very thick, so the cool brake calipers aren't very visible, which is a bit disappointing. And the charging port has this two-line design that's characteristic of Genesis. If you press this part, it opens electrically, and you can see things like the current charging status displayed in the form of water droplets. I feel a bit disappointed that the DC combo cap hangs down like this, but since actual owners can just remove it, I don't want to make too much of an issue out of it. The fact that it closes electronically like this is something that Genesis has made sure to include, so it feels quite refined. The rear design has hardly changed. What has changed? Honestly, unless you're a true fan of the GV60, it can be really hard to notice any changes from the back. The design hasn't really changed much at all. However, it seems like they've refined the lower part to be a bit more horizontal. Just like before, the shape of the tail lamps and the brake lights mounted on the wing remain the same. Now, there are 3 cameras positioned at the bottom of the rear wing. You can see that they've attached these 3 cameras for the built-in camera, digital rearview mirror, and rear camera under the wing. These days, new Hyundai electric cars like the Ioniq 9 come with features to clean the camera sensors using washer fluid, but the Genesis GV60 doesn't have that feature yet, which is a bit disappointing. Let's check out the trunk space. Basically, it offers a slightly smaller space compared to the Ioniq 5 or EV6. Since the GV60 is a slightly more compact car, it also has a bit more trunk space. It looks like it has a little less capacity, but it still has enough space to store 1 golf bag and 1 Boston bag. It shows a space that is large enough for even a large person like me to fit in comfortably. I think it has a trunk space that is just right for this class of car. Since this is a dedicated electric vehicle, many people might wonder if there are hidden spaces. But the hidden space isn't that generous. It has just this much. When you set it up like this, you can walk in and install it. The luggage screen itself is made of a material similar to synthetic leather, which I quite like. When you close the trunk, you can see that Genesis, being a premium brand, has made sure that the items stored inside the trunk aren't visible from the outside. Additionally, the luggage screen can be adjusted to 3 different levels. You can install it at a mid-level, and it can also be adjusted to allow the second row seats to recline. This attention to detail is something you would expect from a premium brand. As for folding the second row seats, it can be done in a 60-40 split. There isn't a pass-through feature, so when loading empty items, you'll need to fold the second row seats completely down. I think it's about time premium brands started offering a 40-20-40 folding option. All right, let's check out the second row. Wow. You can really set the seats upright like this, or you can recline them all the way back. When you recline them fully, you can lie down quite comfortably while driving, which is definitely a plus. It would be even better if the seats could move back and forth, but the lack of that feature is a bit disappointing. Generally, even when the seat back is set up like this, since the GV60 is a crossover, there's enough headroom for a tall adult male around 185 cm to fit with about a palm's width of space above his head. And as for the cup holders, there are cup holders built into the armrests. And on the door, there are also 2 cup holders on each side, so there are a total of 4 cup holders just in the second row. It really shows that they thought about convenience here. I think things like this could be useful too. Our PD said that it would be good if it had a heating function, as well as a hot and cold function to make it cool or warm. Although this is the Genesis premium brand, it is the youngest. So isn't that too extravagant? And of course, the second row comes with heated seats. However, it doesn't support ventilated seats, which is something you can see. The sunshade is well equipped, and it feels like they've covered all the essential features thoroughly. Unfortunately, since it doesn't have a 3-zone air conditioning system, you can see that there are 2 USB-C ports in the middle section. Additionally, there's some space provided for second-row passengers to store their belongings, which is possible because it's an electric vehicle. They've really thought through these spaces. Right now, I'm looking at the newly applied sky blue interior in the second row. What do you all think? Wow, this color is really bold. I never expected to see such a color in a Korean car. This is a shade you usually find in luxury cars like Bentley or Rolls-Royce. Applying the sky blue color to the GV60 feels really fresh. Personally, I don't think I could choose it, but for those with a strong sense of individuality, it offers a variety of interior trim options. And if I had to pick one good thing about Genesis, it would definitely be the quality of the leather. The quality of this leather is something that even German cars could learn from. None. It really shows the solid quality of this Napa leather. And even though it's an electric car, it showcases a very luxurious look with features like quilting and piping. The quality of the leather is truly top-notch. You can really see that it's at the pinnacle of leather quality. The leather seat quality is so good that I just want to take the leather seats and put them in my BMW. If you look at this door trim, not only is there diamond-shaped quilting on this side, but this side is also made in a suede shape, like sky blue suede. So it gives a tonal feel. And on top is navy, a tone-on-tone feel, and a very fashionable leather. I'm very jealous of these things. Although it's an electric car, it still has the luxurious leather feel of the internal combustion engine era. So I like these things. Do electric cars have to be filled with eco-friendly materials? I'm not really sure about that. We'll use cowhide anyway. The headlining, Wang is also done in sky blue, which is really something special. This interior is quite extraordinary. Considering that they approved such a bold color, it really reflects the sophistication of the Genesis brand. I think it must have been a bold move to approve such a seat color. After all, the GV60 is supposed to be the most dynamic and youthful car in the entire Genesis lineup, so it seems they decided to embrace these bold colors. All the seat colors are matched in sky blue, but the seat belt and the press button are unfortunately red. They probably couldn't change that color due to safety reasons. I understand that, but it does stand out a bit against the sky blue seats. So let's wrap up with the sky blue seats and check out what the more conventional seat colors look like in the front row. Before we go in, let's take a quick look at the exterior and interior colors available. First off, the most popular exterior color is white. It's called Uyuni White, which is a glossy color inspired by the Uyuni salt flats. Over here, you can also see a light gray color called Seville Silver. There are actually two shades of gray available. There's also a darker shade called Macalo Gray. You can see that it's a lighter gray color with the Seville Silver applied. Now, if we go inside, we can see that there are three vehicles here, and they also have the Uyuni White exterior color. Here, it says that they offer 4 matte colors, and among them, you can see that they have the Macalo Gray matte color. It's very cool and sporty, but we owned and drove an EV9 in matte color. And if it gets scratched, there's no way to restore it, and it's so hard to maintain. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you're someone who takes really good care of your car. And right now, the interior color is matched in 3 ways with a sky blue and navy two-tone. From the outside, this car has a much more pastel tone and looks a bit more luxurious, but when you actually open the interior, it has a brighter color, definitely giving off a bold vibe. And over here, we have the ash gray and glacier white two-tone seats. It's a color combination that a lot of people really love from Genesis. This combination of gray and beige sheets can be called an ivory color combination. If you open it up and look inside like this, it's a bright color that looks like it would transfer color if you wear something like jeans. But you can also see that it has a white color that many people like. If we move over there, we can definitely see the Shine Grove green and Gold Coast yellow two-tone with beige seats. Looking at it this way, I wonder if the name Gold Coast is appropriate, as it features a yellow reminiscent of sand on the beach and a green inspired by pine forests. These seats definitely have a bold, bright and stylish vibe. Now let's head to the second row and take a closer look at the first row from these seats. Let's go back to this yellow sheet. Yes, it's called Gold Coast Yellow. When we say Gold Coast, it refers to the old days in West Africa, when Europe was taking gold from Africa as a colony. Now that place is now called Gold Coast. Can we use that name? Oh, is it okay to indulge in a little luxury? Anyway, here we have the Pine Grove Green, which features a two-tone color. The dashboard is inspired by the green of pine forests. The name might sound a bit luxurious and ambiguous, but I think this color combination is really nice. Plus, this yellow color is quite bright, and not something you typically see in regular cars, so I think it would appeal to those who are quite successful. The leather quality is of course good as well. In fact, the GV60 was a car that didn't gain much popularity before, and the main reason for that was because compared to the Ioniq 5 or EV6, the interior didn't have many significant differences. The display was the same, just different colors, and the materials were just a bit more leather. So many people thought, if that's the case, I might as well just buy an Ioniq 5. But now it's definitely changed. Now it features a Genesis exclusive infotainment system called CCIC, and a 27-inch OLED display for the instrument cluster, showing a distinctly different look from before. Compared to the CCNC instrument cluster used by Hyundai and Kia, this instrument cluster and infotainment display definitely feel much more luxurious in terms of graphics and overall quality. With the introduction of the CCIC instrument cluster, OTA updates are now possible and you can enjoy various entertainment features. However, there is a downside where you have to wait a bit to enjoy this entertainment, as the loading times can be long. But it does come with a lot more entertainment options compared to Hyundai vehicles. It basically has 8 streaming services, including Netflix and Disney Plus, which aren't available in Hyundai cars, as well as YouTube, Bloomberg, WAV, Tving, SportyPie Now, along with LG channels. This variety of streaming services could be seen as a unique selling point for Genesis. But it's kind of funny that we're looking at the GV60 right now and the GV70 electric G80, GV80 coupe. GV80 and G80 are all listed above. Oh wait, the GV60 is missing? Maybe it hasn't been updated yet. There's no GV60. This GV60 hasn't been updated yet. It's a bit awkward that we can't display a photo of this car. In the Genesis GV60 facelift, various features and new electric vehicle-specific functions have indeed been introduced. So let's take a look at what those are. They've added a new Smart Regeneration System 3.0. So what is this Smart Regeneration System 3.0? Previously, it adjusted based on the driver's driving habits, but now it can be linked with the navigation system, allowing for 3 different levels of smart regeneration. The car can use its data to provide optimal regenerative braking based on situations like traffic jams or curves. We'll have to see how well it actually works during a test drive. They've also introduced a battery conditioning mode, which preheats the battery before fast charging. And, just like in the Ioniq 5N, the GV60 now features a virtual gear shift system, or VGS, which allows you to adjust from first to 8th gear using paddle shifters. This time, they've also implemented virtual gear shift sounds, adding 2 new sounds to the active sound design. First of all, we have the Horizon sound. It's a shame, that we can't hear this sound today, but a new sound called Heritage Black has been added. According to this press release, this sound called Heritage Black is said to embody the unique 6-cylinder sound of Genesis. When we listened to the Ioniq 5N sound, many people felt it was a bit awkward because the 4-cylinder sound kept rising continuously, which was disappointing. However, Genesis has implemented a 6-cylinder engine sound, creating a very luxurious virtual engine sound. We'll have to take a closer look at this during a test drive. Anyway, it's good to know that the virtual gear shift feature and the virtual engine sound have been newly added. This car is equipped with a Bang & Olufsen sound system featuring a total of 17 speakers. Starting from this facelift model, it also supports Dolby Atmos, so let's give it a listen. The CCIC infotainment system provides 4 music streaming services, including Genesis Music, which is unique to Genesis, as well as Genie Music, Melon, and Naver Vibe. If you check out Genesis Music, you can find real-time popular Top 100 tracks, and it also offers a separate selection of Top 100 tracks that can be enjoyed in spatial audio with Dolby Atmos, maximizing the sound system's capabilities. Let's go in and listen to some Dolby Atmos tracks, which include a variety of Woody, the latest songs, and idol tracks. You can enjoy Dolby Atmos sound sources in a variety of ways, but this sound system itself seems to be geared toward a softer sound. Although called Dolby Atmos, it doesn't support the 7.1.4 surround sound system with top speakers, appearing to support Dolby Atmos by configuring the surround sound from the previous GV60. There are many improvements, but one of the main upgrades is the addition of this capacitive steering wheel. In the previous GV60, the torque system required you to physically wake the car by touching the steering wheel for it to recognize that your hands were on it. But now it uses a hands-on detection capacitive steering wheel, so it can recognize that your hands are on it just by lightly touching it. Additionally, the battery capacity has significantly increased from the previous 77.4 kilowatt battery to an 84 kilowatt battery knowing, which is part of the 4th generation battery. It is said that the driving range has been certified to be 481 kilometers, which is 30 kilometers, more than the existing one. They say that they didn't increase the size of the battery pack, but rather improved the energy density by increasing the energy density of the cell itself, so that a battery of the same size can be put in with a much larger capacity. This feels like a very desirable change. Looking at the existing attractive points of the GV60, it still features this spherical gear selector that allows you to choose drive modes like drive, reverse, and neutral. It also retains physical buttons for ventilated seats and heated seats, which many people find convenient these days. These physical buttons are still there, so you can just click them to operate them immediately. The volume dial also uses buttons that adjust up and down, and I believe that car manufacturers should keep at least some physical buttons for climate control and sound-related functions. It's great to see that they've retained these physical buttons, showing that they really considered usability. So, we've taken a quick look at the Genesis GV60 facelift model. The starting price is 64.9 million won after applying electric vehicle tax benefits, which is an increase of 600,000 won compared to before. However, there have been many comments about the GV60 not offering differentiated features compared to the Ioniq 5 or EV6, which was disappointing. But with this facelift of the Genesis GV60, I definitely feel that it gives a unique Genesis vibe. Considering this, I think the 600,000 won price increase is justifiable, but it will be interesting to see how consumers react. So, this has been Mocar Lee Young Bin. Thank you. The story of the Mocar car of hope. The world is vast, and cars are racing through many cities, unfolding the adventures of cars. The world beneath the wheels is limitless, and in this moment of fascination with Mocar, this is where the dream of happiness begins.